We have 30 reasons why Kenya is not what you expect. Let's go ahead and check this video out together, guys. If y'all are new here, go ahead and hit that sub button for your boy. Likes the video. Make sure I like this video. Let's get right into it, guys.
Kenya is one of the most geographically wild countries on this entire planet, and most of the world has absolutely no idea. So today, we're fixing that. Starting off from fact 30. Here's something that nobody ever talks about. Over 9.5% of every single lake in Africa is found inside Kenya's borders. Nearly 1 in 10. It is the 23rd largest country in Africa. Africa has 54 countries and stretches over 30 million square kilometers. And this one relatively small country is just quietly sitting on 1/10 of the continent's lakes. Fact 29. If you got in a car in Mombasa on Kenya's coast and just drove north to a town called Marsabit, that single drive would feel like going from the Amazon rainforest to the Sahara Desert. I'm not exaggerating. You start with tropical humidity, ocean breezes, mangrove forests, and then slowly, the trees thin out, the air gets drier, the ground starts turning to cracked lava and dust. Fact 28. Lake Turkana is the largest alkaline lake in the world. Its pH sits between 9.3 and 9.4, which, just to give you a reference, is more alkaline than most cleaning products you'd find under your kitchen sink. It's basically a massive body of caustic water sitting in the middle of a desert. Nothing should be living in it. And yet, 14,000 Nile crocodiles call it home. And here's the wild part. The mineral content of the lake is so intense that it actually toughens their skin, making Turkana crocodiles look physically different from every other Nile croc on the continent. Fact 27. You know what's heartbreaking about Mount Kenya? It sits directly on the equator, a snow-capped, glacier-covered mountain right on the equator, and those glaciers are almost gone. Scientists are saying they could completely disappear by 2030. And look, I know climate change facts can feel distant, like they're happening somewhere abstract, but this one hits different when you think about it this way. Those glaciers feed rivers, those rivers water farms, and those farms feed millions of people. When the ice goes, so does the dry season water supply for communities that have no backup plan. That's not a geography fact anymore, that's someone's life. Fact 26.
Hey, but good thing, Ethiopia built that dam, bruh. Ethiopia built that dam. They plan to share some water. You feel me? Shout out to Ethiopia, bro. They saving people. They saving lives out here.
Every year during the Great Migration in Kenya's Masai Mara, wildebeest pack themselves so tightly, 1,000 animals per square kilometer, that the herd is literally visible from space.
No way.
Astronauts can look down and see this dark, moving mass crawling across the savannah. It is the largest overland migration of animals on Earth, and it happens every single year in Kenya like clockwork. Fact 25. Kenya's Indian Ocean coastline is so packed with marine life that the government had to create 4 marine parks and 6 marine reserves just to protect it all. 10 protected marine zones along one coastline. We're talking coral reefs, whale sharks, sea turtles, dolphins, all of it just sitting right there offshore.
I know snorkeling there is insane, bruh. I know, what do they call it? The snorkeling and doing all those, bruh. I know they crazy, bro. The things that you see.
Most people go to Kenya and never even look at the ocean. Fact 24. Menengai crater near Nakuru is one of the largest volcanic calderas on the planet, 12 kilometers wide. And here's what got me. It formed just 8,000 years ago. That sounds like a long time, but 8,000 years ago, humans were already farming in Egypt. They were building settlements, making tools, painting things. And in Kenya, the earth just casually opened up and created a crater the size of a small city. In geological terms, that is basically yesterday afternoon. Fact 23. Hell's Gate National Park is one of the only parks in Africa where you can walk and cycle right through the middle of wild animals.
Scared to death, y'all. Yeah, hey, walk and cycle in the middle of wild animals?
Vehicle, no fence, no ranger holding your hand. The geothermal terrain is
you just right there in the middle. Have y'all done that before? I don't know if I could do that, bruh. I don't know. It depends on what type of animals is out there that I'm cycling or walking around, bro. Because if I see a lion, cheetah, if I see any type of, you feel me? No, no, sir.
Too unpredictable and rocky for big predators to comfortably stalk you in. So you just walk among zebras and giraffes. And those dramatic, steaming gorges.
Okay, zebras and giraffe. That doesn't sound too bad. If they mention lions or hyenas or something like that, bruh, no, sir. But zebras and giraffes, I think we good. I think we good.
Those towering basalt cliffs? The designers of Disney's The Lion King use them as direct inspiration for the film's landscape.
Bruh,
You've seen Kenya in a car.
I knew Lion King was based in Kenya, bruh. Because you can, bruh, the circle of life, you know, they do where do they migrate, and then they showed the buffaloes, or I think they were buffaloes or whatever they were. You know what I'm saying? They migrate. And that's what they were doing in The Lion King. It's based in Kenya, bruh.
You just never knew it was real. Fact 22. Kenya straddles the equator, and in Nanyuki town, there's a spot where you can stand with your left foot in the northern hemisphere and your right foot in the southern hemisphere simultaneously. Two halves of the earth, one step apart. Your left side and your right side are technically in different hemispheres. If that's not a travel story worth telling at a dinner party, then man, just go to Mars.
But how is that? Doesn't that happen at a lot of places? Like you can see it clearly grows across Africa. So either any of these other countries right here looks like it's going towards the US. So somewhere in US or Canada as well, or down, I don't know.
Mars. Fact 21. Kenya has over 50 national parks and wildlife reserves. More protected land per square kilometer than almost any other country on the African continent. And what I love about that number is what it represents. It means that at some point, Kenya looked at its land and said, this belongs to the wildlife. Fact 20. The Grevy's zebra is the world's largest wild member of the horse family. It's bigger, more striking, and more endangered than the common zebra. And its entire global wild population, every single one of them, lives almost exclusively in northern Kenya. Not spread across a continent, not found in multiple countries, just here in Kenya.
Wow.
Which means if something goes wrong in Kenya, the Grevy's zebra is gone from the planet.
Fact 19. South Island in Lake Turkana has no permanent human settlement. It sits in the world's largest desert lake, surrounded by alkaline water full of crocodiles, in one of the most remote places in East Africa. Barely anyone goes there. And honestly, reading about it, I kind of respect that. Some places just want to be left alone. Fact 18. In 1899, there was no Nairobi. Nothing. Just a patch of swampy ground.
When? What year?
Some places just want to be left alone.
Fact 18. In 1899, there was no Nairobi. Nothing. Just a patch of swampy ground where British railway workers threw up a temporary camp and called it a depot. That was it. Today, 5 million people live there. The African Union has offices there. The UN has 2 of its major global headquarters there. A booming tech scene they call the Silicon Savannah started there. All of that in just 125 years from a tent in a swamp. Fact 17. Lamu Island has no cars. Not because of some quirky eco-policy. The streets are literally too old and too narrow for vehicles to fit through. So instead, 6,000 donkeys carry everything. Groceries, furniture, building materials, through coral stone alleyways that have looked exactly the same for 650 years. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it runs entirely on donkey power. I love that so much. Fact 16. Lake Elementaita is so pristine, so genuinely untouched, that UNESCO declared it a World Heritage Site in 2011. It's a still, flamingo-covered alkaline lake sitting deep in the Rift Valley. Pelicans everywhere, no hotel on its shores, no resort, just the lake, the birds, and the silence. There are places in Kenya that people have collectively decided are simply too beautiful to ruin. Elementaita is one of them. Fact 15. Only 12% of Kenya's land is actually suitable for farming. The rest is desert, semi-arid scrub, mountain rock, swamp. And yet Kenya feeds tens of millions of people, exports tea to the world, and ships cut flowers to European supermarkets every single day. 12% of the land.
I heard Kenya, I think we did react to a video that mentioned that Kenya was a huge exporter of flowers, like I think one of the biggest in the world, if not the biggest in the world, of exporters of flowers.
Doing 100% of the agricultural work.
But
That is an
12%
enormous amount of
wow.
pressure on a very small strip of earth.
Definitely.
Fact 14. The World Rally Championship Safari Rally happens in Kenya. And drivers will tell you, it is the most brutal circuit in motorsport. Not because of the corners, not because of the speed, because of what the land does to the cars. Volcanic rock, sudden river crossings, mud so thick it literally swallows tires, and sometimes wildlife on the road that was absolutely not in the race briefing. Kenya doesn't just push human limits, it physically destroys machines. Fact 13. Kenya generates over 900 megawatts of electricity from geothermal energy, nearly half its entire national power supply. And here's the beautiful irony of it. That energy comes from drilling into the same volcanic heat that is actively tearing Africa apart. The Great Rift Valley is literally splitting the continent in two. And Kenya looked at that geological catastrophe and said, actually, let's plug something in. That's genuinely impressively clever. Fact 12. The Mau Forest in western Kenya is the largest indigenous mountain forest in East Africa, and it single-handedly feeds over 12 major rivers. Millions of Kenyans, farmers, pastoralists, city residents, drink water from rivers that begin their journey inside this one forest. Which makes what I'm about to say really important. Large sections of the Mau have already been cleared. Every tree that goes doesn't just disappear. It takes someone's water with it. Fact 11. Kenya's highlands have some of the most fertile volcanic soil in all of East Africa. And in the early 1900s, British colonizers saw that soil and they took it. They forcibly removed Kenyan families from land their ancestors had farmed for generations, fenced it off, and called it the White Highlands.
That's
the land was so
crazy.
valuable, so extraordinarily productive, that it was considered worth dispossessing an entire people. Fact 10. Kenya's entire Indian...
Bro, the British were mean, fam. Like, dang, we couldn't have nothing back then. We couldn't even have ourselves, bro. They was stealing us.
Indian Ocean coastline is protected by a nearly unbroken natural coral reef that runs along the shore. This reef acts as a buffer, breaking the force of the open ocean and leaving the water behind it calm, warm, clear, and safe. Nature engineered a coastal defense system thousands of years before any government could have designed one, and it still works today. Fact 9. The Lorian Swamp in northeastern Kenya is one of the strangest places I've read about. After heavy rains, the Ewaso Ngiro River floods its banks and this whole wetland just appears. Birds land, elephants walk in from hundreds of kilometers away to drink, life rushes in. Then the rain stops, the sun comes out, and the whole thing just vanishes. Dry, cracked, lifeless earth. No water, no swamp, like it was never there. And then the next rains come, and
that's why they migrate, right? They migrate once the dry season, and then they migrate back once they know, hey, animals are smart.
It happens all over again, every year. Fact 8. The Chiulu Hills in southeastern Kenya are geologically brand new. Some of the lava flows on their slopes are estimated to be less than 200 years old. That means while your great-great-grandparents were alive, somewhere on this earth, lava was flowing through Kenya, laying down new ground, building new mountains. That is not ancient history. That is recent Earth in motion.
That's recent.
Fact 7. Mount Kulal rises from the floor of the Turkana Desert and has a dense cloud forest on its upper slopes. The nearest other forest is hundreds of kilometers away. And because of that isolation, that complete geographic loneliness, the forest has been evolving in its own direction for so long that it has developed plant species found nowhere else on Earth. Unique, singular, found only here, on top of a mountain, surrounded by desert in northern Kenya. Fact 6. The El Molo people of Lake Turkana are one of Kenya's smallest ethnic communities, and their entire way of life, everything they eat, everything they are, comes from that one lake. Fish, hippo, crocodile, caught from the same alkaline water their ancestors...
Bruh, what does hippo taste like? Hippo? Like they eat hippo?
...fished for thousands of years. They're called the Hunters of the Jade Sea. And of all the communities I've read about, I don't think I've ever encountered a group of people more completely shaped by a single piece of geography. Fact 5. Lake Bogoria has natural hot springs that shoot jets of boiling water straight up into the air. Right next to those jets, flamingos, just standing there, feeding, completely unbothered.
Just
boiling
chilling.
water erupting out of the ground literally meters away, and these birds are just having a normal Tuesday. It is one of the most surreal things I've ever seen in a photograph,
wild.
and I cannot imagine what it looks like in person. Fact 4. Mount Nyiro rises 2,752 meters from the northern Kenyan desert, and the Samburu people have believed for generations that it's where their god, Ngai, lives. Because of that, they've traditionally banned farming and tree cutting on its upper slopes. No legislation, no national park, just faith. And because of that cultural protection, Mount Nyiro's forests are some of the most intact in all of northern Kenya. Fact 3. The wind at Lake Turkana is relentless. It blows hard almost every single day, one of the most consistent wind corridors on the entire African continent. For pastoralist communities, it was a nuisance. It ruined fishing, buried homesteads in sand, damaged crops. But Kenya's engineers looked at that same wind and saw something completely different. They built Africa's largest wind farm right there. 365 turbines, 310 megawatts. A wind that people once cursed now powers millions of homes. Fact 2. The border between Kenya and Tanzania cuts directly through Maasai territory. The Maasai never agreed to it. They weren't consulted. It was drawn by European powers in a conference room in the 1880s by men who had never been to East Africa and had no idea whose land they were slicing through. And so, the Maasai do what they've always done.
Or they probably did. They just didn't care, bro. Hey, Europeans, British people, y'all bullies, bruh. Like, why y'all like this?
They cross it. With their cattle, following the grass and the rain, the border exists on a map, but on the ground, it's invisible. Fact 1. The Turkwell Gorge in western Kenya is a dramatic river gorge. Sheer rock walls, a powerful river cutting through ancient stone. When Kenya proposed building a hydroelectric dam inside it, British engineers looked at the plans and said no. Because the gorge was too narrow, the rock too hard, the river too powerful, and it couldn't be done. But Kenya built it anyway. The Turkwell Dam came online in 1991 and has been generating power ever since, standing in the gorge that was supposed to be uncontrollable. Now that's just the 30 facts, and honestly, we barely touched it. Kenya is one of those places that the more you learn about it, the more you realize how little you knew. And if you're watching this
I learned a lot. I feel like we've watched a lot of Kenyan videos on the channel, but this one right here, I definitely learned a lot from this one. Comment down below what you learned in this video. If there's something that he didn't mention that you think is pretty cool about Kenya, leave it in the comment section below. But I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction, my commentary. If you did, smash that like, guys. Sub to the channel if you're new. Stay tuned next week, y'all. Peace.